Canto 29. Summary. It is now 1 p.m. on Holy Saturday. The pilgrim's eyes are drunk with all the mangled mayhem of the ninth ditch. He is intoxicated by the blood and gore. Virgil has to rebuke him and remind him that there is more to see and time is running short. Dante defends himself, saying that he was looking for a relative he believes is suffering there. Virgil affirms that the relative, Geri del Bello, was indeed there and was motioning violently to Dante, but Dante did not see him. They move on and come to the rim of the 10th and final ditch of Malebolge. As they walk over the ditch, the travelers see the falsifiers, including the alchemists, who attempted to transform, among other things, base metals into gold. In this way, they aped nature by their art, fraudulently passing one metal off as another. They are portrayed here as sickly, weak, and full of scabs. Unable to sit up on their own, they prop themselves up in pairs back to back. Dante and Virgil come across a pair of Italians, Grifolino and Capocchio. Grifolino tells the amusing tale of how he died after lying to the gullible Albero, who was the son of the Bishop of Siena. Dante then remarks on the general stupidity of the Sienese, to which Capocchio responds, arguing that there were a few clever Sienese, Strica, Niccolo, Cacciadesciano, and Bartolomeo da Focaccieri, il Abbegliato, or the Bedazzled, as well as Lano from Canto 13. All these men were part of a club called the Spendthrift Club, whose members were bent on gaining a reputation for living large and extravagantly. Capocchio lists some of their good qualities in their defense. Nevertheless, he too is against the Sienese, especially as it gives him an opportunity to reveal himself to Dante. Capocchio was a fellow student with Dante, one who had a talent for mimicry. But here his face is full of scabs, and so Dante must sharpen his eye and look hard in order to recognize him. Like Grifolino, he was burned at the stake, but he died for his practice of alchemy. Canto 29. Falsifiers. The many people and their freakish wounds so inebriated my eyes they longed to stay and weep. But Virgil said to me, "What are you staring at? Why do your eyes still rivet themselves there below between the sad and mangled shades? You did not act thus at the other ditches. Consider, if you believe you can number them all, for 22 miles this valley turns round. Already the moon is beneath our feet. The time that is granted us is now short. Other things have been given you to see that you have yet to see." Then I answered, "Had you awaited the reason I stared, you would still perhaps allow me to stay." Meanwhile, my leader went on, and I was walking behind him, already forming a response, and added, "Within that pit where I so purposefully held my eyes, I believe a spirit of my blood weeps there below for the guilt that costs so much." Then my master answered, "Let not your thoughts trouble themselves for him from here onward. Attend to other things, and let him be. For I saw him at the foot of the bridge, pointing at you and strongly threatening with his finger, and I heard he was named Geri del Bello. You were so wholly captivated by him that held Hautfort. You did not see him, so he went away." "O my leader, his violent death," I said, "that still goes unavenged by anyone that might be a companion in his shame, has made him scornful, and thus he moved on, as I assume, without speaking to me, which has made me feel more pious toward him." Thus we talked until we reached the first part of the ridge that shows the other valley, had there been more light, down to the bottom. When we were above the final cloister of Malebolge, such that its laymen were able to be seen with our own eyes, strange laments shot at me as if they were arrows whose heads were fashioned from pity, wherefore I covered my ears with my hands. Were all of the ill from the hospitals of Valdichiana and from Maremma and Sardinia between the months July and September together in one ditch, what pain would be, such was there. Such a reek was escaping as comes from rotting limbs. We descended down to the final bank from the long ridge, still on the left-hand side, and then my vision became livelier down toward the bottom, where the minister of the High Lord, infallible justice, damns the falsifiers registered here. I do not believe there was greater grief in seeing people so sick in Aegina, when the air was so heavy with malice that the animals, to the smallest worm, all fell, and after, the ancient people, according to what poets firmly hold, were again restored from the seed of ants. Then there was in seeing spirits languishing in that dark valley like strange shocks of grain, this one sprawling out over the stomach of that one sprawling over his shoulders, another crawling, transmuting himself along the wretched road. Step by slow step we walked without words, gazing, listening to the ill, who could not raise their bodies. I saw two sitting against each other as one places pan against pan to dry. They were spotted with scabs from head to foot. Never yet have I seen a currycomb wielded by a boy, his master waiting, nor by one unwillingly staying awake, as each one hurriedly wielded the bite of nails over himself for the great rage of the itching, which has no more succor. And their own nails were ripping off the scabs as a knife slices off the scales of carp, or of another that has larger scales. "O you, that unknit yourselves with fingers," began my leader to one of the pair, "and that sometimes make pincers out of them. Tell us if there are any Italians among these here within, so may your nail eternally suffice for this effort." One responded, weeping tears, "We are both Italians, whom you see here so broken. But who are you who have asked this of us?" My leader said, "I am one descending with this living man, rampart to rampart, down below, and I mean to show him hell." Then their mutual support broke apart, and trembling each one turned himself to me with others that had heard it noised about. The good master gathered himself to me, saying, "Speak to them what you desire to say." And I began, since that was what he wished. "May your memory not be thieved away from the minds of men up in the first world, but may it live on beneath many suns. Tell me who you are and of what people. Let not your obscene and bothersome pain keep you from revealing yourselves to me." "I was from Arezzo, and Albero," one responded, "of Siena had me placed in the fire, but why I perished then does not place me here. It is true, I said in jest, I know how to fly through the air. And he, who had longing but little sense, wished me to show him the art. And only for not making him Daedalus, he had me burned by one that held him as a son. But into this final ditch of the 10 for the alchemy I used in the world, Minos sent me, and it is not lawful for him to fail." And I told the poet, "Now was there ever such a vain people as the Sienese? Clearly not the French." At that the other leper, who heard me, countered my words with, "Except for Stricca, who knew the art of moderate spending, and Nicolo, the first to discover the rich custom of pheasants dressed with clove in the garden where such seed roots itself, and the club in which Cacciadasciano squandered a vineyard and great acreage, and Abbliato proffered his horse sense. But so that you may know who is with you against the Sienese, sharpen your eye toward me, that my face may well answer you. Thus you will see that I am the shade of Capocchio, who falsified the metals with alchemy. You must remember how, if I see you right, I aped nature well,